Get started. Welcome, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Friday, June 20th, 2025. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread? First two cards we are starting our day off with today are our four of Pentacles in its upright, in combination with our Knight of Wands in its upright. Let's talk a little bit about this energy. So, there's a lot of intensity that we're experiencing with this energy right now. And I think that a lot of the intensity that we're experiencing to a certain extent, I want to stress this. It's working. It's an expansion moment. You know, that's the thing we're seeing. And when we're going through expansion moments, there's a lot of stuff that can come up. Why are we experiencing some of that expansion? We've got amazing alignment right now. We've got amazing planetary alignment. We've got a lot of this energy that we're also experiencing right now as it relates to the fact that we've got Mercury and Cancer. Mercury and Jupiter that are also in Cancer, in combination with the fact that Mars has also moved into Virgo. Now, one of the things that we observed and we were talking about was a lot of this Gemini season had to do with working into the space of the array, right? There's a lot of moving parts there. There's having to do a lot of different things, building into that pathwork of energetic expansion. Now, what do we effectively see that's occurring during this time? One of the things that we're also like right on the cusp of a Cancer season. So I feel like what we're really experiencing right now collectively is almost like a bit of, I want to say, like, it feels like a little bit of egoic expansion. But the reason that we see that there's egoic expansion that's happening, and we were going to talk a lot about this now that we're coming into Cancer season, is it's working into the context of identifying and recognizing what feels like it is supportive to the self. Now, one of the things that we see that happens, and I love that we identify this and we talk a lot about this as it relates to Cancer season, is Cancer season, you'll notice that those who are Cancerian have a tendency of being very precious with who they're energetically vulnerable with. We also see the fact that those who have Aries placements, they can have a little bit of that like jumpiness. Now, one of the reasons that we see that this is occurring right now has to do with the ability of moving through or working through frustration. Now, frustration can be very expansive, but also it can talk to us, right? The frustration that we experience helps us understand where our wounds are, right? And in that context, we have to understand that everything is a gift to a certain extent, even in the space that we get frustrated. Because when we're frustrated, and we project it on others, it's not the space of being able to recognize and identify what the wound is that's being protected by the frustration. But when we do the work of the self, we're often able to see, right? The frustration we feel tells us where our wounds are. They indicate to us the spaces and places that we need to work on in relationality to helping us heal our intimacy. This is why I'm seeing right now this could feel like some tender stuff, because I keep on getting like there's something about like I need to point out like the thing about this energy that we're feeling right now, especially with like the solstice that's hitting, is the fact that it can feel like I feel like it's like the solstice of tender buttons, if you will. Like, I want to show you. Like, do you see this four of like this is like this is a four of Pentacles, with the Knight of Wands. But this is why, right? Like this is what we talk about. This is all that temperance energy that we discussed, right? Because tender buttons, if you will, help us understand where our wounds are, right? And when we're doing the work of understanding them effectively, they help us know ourselves more. They help us identify what it is, like where, like what it is that we're still working on healing. And that's why, I can see even now, like for a lot of the energy in separation, all of that work, right? Being able to articulate, to be able to identify, to be able to effectively move through something in a way that you better understand the shape of how you feel. This is why we see that so many of those energies in separation are bringing a lot of trepidation into those new connections. Because what happens? Like, what happens when we don't know, our tender spots, right? We can sometimes work into the space where it feels like others, that's how we create those relationships that it feel like we're walking on eggshells, because the ability to identify that one is triggered, right? And we talk a lot about this here. There are some triggers you might never get rid of, right? Like I keep on hearing triggered for a reason. It's not about the fact of being de-triggered, but when we know our triggers, right? When we're able to understand the source of the energetic trigger, it allows us to be able to build into the context of, again, both trying to heal through it, but also giving those around us the things they need to navigate those moments when we're feeling more energetically vulnerable. And this is why I keep on hearing that this is what is beautiful in relationality to these new relationships that are forming. This is why we see that the energy in separation is arriving into this. They're like arriving into the summer. They're arriving into the summer solstice, and they're moving into temperance, because it is the observation that through the journey of understanding the self are we able to build the healthy relationship, right? That is what we mean when we talk about becoming perfect, because there is no such thing as perfect. And often, right, like often if we try to move towards perfection, this is often when we start experiencing like emotional or egoic collapse, because perfect is not something that you can find on a map. It's the journey of perfecting the self. There's always something that you can improve upon. It's not about being perfect. It's about the understanding of the self. It is understanding. It is understanding how we move. It's understanding the full embodiment of ourselves. And when we understand ourselves effectively, we can not only communicate to others how we are, but we can also let them know when we're feeling triggered, when we're feeling frustrated. And that ability of doing so, right, that is like the mapping of the self that is the gift in healthy partnership. Because when you're building into healthy partnership and you know what it is that you want, and you know who you are, and you identify what it is you work on, no greater gift than you give the counterpart than the map of the self, because it doesn't require them to have to try to figure you out. Like you don't have to figure it out. I know who I am, right? And we're never perfect in that. Right. And often this is the beauty of, again, healthy relationship. They help us, like healthy relationships are spaces where we help each other map better, right? Like it's the observation of the modality wherein we're able to see more, right? That is the beauty of the healthy partnership. It's not only the fact that you're working on your own map, but you're also doing so with another who's also equally invested in doing so for them as well. So this is a keep on hearing, like, welcome to temperance energy for separation. It's mutual mapping, as it were. Center card for today's spread is, we have here, I love it, we've got here the Six of Pentacles in its upright. Why do we see the Six of Pentacles that's arriving here? Because what we're effectively identifying with a lot of this Six of Pentacle energy has to do with, I keep on hearing situations or circumstances like we're in, and we're seeing this even now with a lot of the energy that's moving deeper into connection. And these are a lot of those, I keep on saying, these are a lot of those magician relationships that are building into the space of deepening connection. Why is the energy moving deeper into connection? It is the space of confidence. It is finding that uplift in confidence. And why is the energy, the magician energy, moving deeper into partnership right now? Because we see that ability, remember, we talked about the fact that for a lot of those magician partnerships that were forming from about the time that Mars and Venus Mercury and Venus stationed direct behind Neptune up until around today, a lot of that work that we're effectively or energetically seeing has to do with the observation of building into relationships where the prioritization point is effective authenticity. That authenticity is the expression point, right? The energy that was working on being authentic. Because when we are authentic and we embrace ourselves, we operate in the space of our own majesty. And when we operate in the state of our own majesty, we become a beacon for those that also gravitate towards us in that way. So there's a lot of that energy that, again, already working into those Cancerian lessons, right? Because the Cancerian lesson talks to us about the fact that the journey of the egoic self isn't one that requires you to have to shed it entirely. It's the journey that says, make sure the outside matches the inside, right? Make sure what is energetically expressed is authentic to what is within. Because when you have that expression of the outside that matches the inside, then the ability to move deeper into connection with another feels like a wonderful, delightful surprise, because it's just more of the same, but it's more complicated, right? It's more beautiful. It's very much in the same, it's in the same timber as what it is that we experience outside of the self. And that confidence, right? The ability to build, this is why we see that these relationships were taking longer to form, because these were relationships that were healing from situations and circumstances where they experienced in one way, shape, or fashion a disembodied manifestation. And what is a disembodied manifestation? It's the observation of, again, when we're not working in harmony with our manifestations, that is the articulation of effectively saying something, right? But not moving in accordance to it, or simultaneously working through the difficulty point of potentially feeling the inauthenticity of what another said in relationality to what it is that they truly aspired for. Both of those can create a lot of trust issues, because it's the observation. And again, I'm not surprised to see it, because remember, we talked a lot about the fact that Gemini season helps us work through the lessons between the difference between fickleness and pragmatism. What is fickleness? It's changing just for the sake of change. It can often articulate a lack of comfortability, whereas when we're pragmatic, we are expansive as it relates to moving towards a manifestation goal, because we try to be adaptable within it in order to have those energetic breakthrough points. So that's why we see even now that for a lot of the energy doing that work, articulating upon the adaptability, recognizing and identifying not only energy that feels like it's supportive, but also helping one clear out any negative, intrusive, unhealed wounds, right? This is a lot of the energy that feels like they're moving deeper into partnership with someone that acts towards them as a clear mirror. And a clear mirror helps us move away from anything that trauma had us embody that didn't feel like it was necessarily in alignment to us. This brings us to a lot of the energy right now, deep within divine union. We've got two cards here. They were sticking to the table. And we've been having this happen a lot ever since Pluto came into retrograde. We've got the Queen of Swords in combination with our Hierophant in its upright. So this is a lot of the energy deep within divine union right now. And so for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, what is the thing that we're effectively recognizing? A lot of the energy deep within divine union right now, you'll recall that these were a lot of the chariot partnerships. These were those chariot partnerships that were forming from the time that Mars stationed direct up until Mercury and Venus woke up behind Neptune. So what we're observing with a lot of these energetic relationships right now is there's a strengthening as it relates to building into the context of the work that one is setting about. I feel like there's a lot of that fortification, there's a lot of that solidification, there's a lot of that sustainability, there's a lot of, I keep on hearing, there's a lot of that energetic strengthening to a certain extent. And one of the things I like about this, and I just want to kind of show you where we see masculine and feminine right now, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. I keep on seeing that for some of the energy right now, deep within divine union, it's articulating. I keep on hearing this is the energy that is articulating upon the rigor that is effectively occurring as it relates to a lot of that expansion. Why do we see that there's a conversation and relationality to expansion right now? Because you'll recall that we said that for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, the manifestation that effectively grows, right? The approaching of a manifestation that allows one to see the possibilities. This is a lot of the energy that starts working towards that fortification point in relationality to, I keep on seeing, firming up plans, building into the space of stability, recognizing and identifying what that work is, what the shape of it is. And it has different expressions in masculine and feminine, but this is really beautiful because I do see that there's a lot of this energetic harmony that's occurring right now between these energies. For feminine, this feels, we've got our Queen of Swords here. So this is, again, it's working through the space of energetic concentration. I almost feel like, and this is interesting, because I see even now for both of these energies, the word for the energy deep within divine union right now feels like conservation. Why do I keep on hearing conservation? I'm just going to show you what I'm seeing because there's a lot of parity that we're seeing right now. And I'm saying parity, so Parity, not parity. Parity right now between masculine and feminine. This is such a balance point right now is what I'm seeing, because this is, I want to encourage you, if you haven't had an opportunity, when you go over to, if you're listening to the podcast, make sure that you head over to our Substack and see the first row spread, because this is exactly the kind of reading I would anticipate for a solstice is what I'm seeing, because I just want to show it to you. Okay, look at this. Check this out. It's really cool. In the center of the spread, we've got the Six of Pentacles. Okay, so now we've got balance, okay, because this is the energy of about generosity. So this is a lot of equilibrium that we see is arriving here. Now I want you to see the cards surrounding, okay? I want you to see the cards surrounding the Six of Pentacles. Where do we find feminine? We've got feminine in the Queen of Swords. We've got masculine in the Knight of Wands. So again, these are very nice counterbalanced counterparts right now. For feminine, this is the feminine feeling a little bit more like, I want to describe this as moving more in the space of the logical. Okay, we've got the Queen of Swords. This is much more the feminine being much more in a logical space right now, really focusing a lot of like energy. I want to see, like, I see a lot of energy focusing in relationality to Hierophant, right? And we like to see the feminine with the Hierophant here, because this is the feminine that is working on building into the firmament of being able to stabilize upon an energetic concept. So I feel like this is a lot of the energy of the feminine fine-tuning manifestation goals. Masculine is much more in a creative space today. Okay? Masculine is much more with the Queen, with the Knight of Wands and the Four of Pentacles. This is saying that, again, masculine is also in a very similar space as feminine, but this feels more in the context of the masculine, building more into the space of the energetic passion and creativity, by which that brings a lot of stabilization. So we see even now, right, like this is beautiful because both of the energies are working through that point of expansion. Right? We talked a lot about the fact that for a lot of the energy deep within divine union right now, this does feel like an expansion process. But I need to point this out. A healthy manifestation is one that you expand upon. Okay? It's not about getting things, it's about expanding. So this is good, is what we see. Continuing to get clarification between our Six of Pentacles in combination with our Knight of Wands coming back towards the energy that's moving into divine union. This is, there we go. We've got Seven of Pentacles here. And the Seven of Pentacles energy, I'm just identifying a lot of the Seven of Pentacles energy that we're seeing right now. It feels like, I keep on hearing, it feels like the expansiveness in relationality to articulating and identifying like what the shape of things are right now for masculine. I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the masculine energy, there's something really beautiful as it relates to the concept of, I want to say, planting seeds or doing like we're again, and this is coming through a lot with Gemini too, like the space of identifying and having a lot of, I keep on hearing like a lot of different moving parts. And what's beautiful about this, and I need to point this out, for the energy that's coming into divine union, this is what it feels like for masculine, because you'll recall that we talked a lot about the fact that for masculine energy right now, that ability of being able to recognize and identify, right? The ability to feel fully seen. What happens when masculine is building into a relationship wherein they feel fully seen by the feminine? It is the masculine that feels safe to embody all of their energetic facets, right? This is the masculine that doesn't feel like they have to be one thing or one determinative factor. It's the expansion point that allows the masculine to be able to be in the space of exploring the self, because this is the masculine that feels the comfortability and safety and security as it relates to being able to communicate from the point of their energetic feelings. For feminine, we see that for, I'm going to move over to the feminine because I want to draw the feminine's cards here too. Clarification between the feminine, between the Queen of Swords here and our Hierophant. Can I get one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our High Priestess. Now, what do we see with the High Priestess in its reversal right now for feminine? I see feminine right now, and this is the only thing I will point out that's occurring between masculine and feminine today, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Feminine right now, I just keep seeing that feminine is in a space of, and I want to say like this is feminine really moving through a little bit of that space in relationality to being very logically grounded. And for a lot of the feminine energy right now, one of the things that I'm identifying and recognizing has to do with the identification point of, and I think we talked about this, the feminine is in this modality here of understanding and recognizing that, and we talked about this yesterday. This is why I was saying that there was potentially a lot of the feminine that was working through energetic frustrations, because that ability of the feminine feeling like they're eschewing a lot of the energetic roles of the self, right? Like this is why this is sometimes those moments that the feminine gets more protective of the self. There's a lot of inner child healing that I see is happening right now for both masculine and feminine. But the thing you have to understand when it comes to the ability to work through inner child healing is it can bring up a lot of wounds, right? And this is why we see that for a lot of the feminine energy going through that journey, right? The identification point of another person articulating upon the expectations of the feminine, right? This is the feminine that often has to articulate the frustration in working through the space that the feminine should not be in the place where it has to energetically serve a role, but rather being in the ability to articulate upon the self that allows them to kind of move into that space of being able to carve a path for themselves. But this is why we see, and I like this energy today, because this is the energy of the feminine, like working through frustration in a productive way, because it is the frustration that articulates and lands upon being able to find energetic solutions, like working into the space of identifying what feels supportive. For masculine, this feels more energetically like a creative space right now. But this is why this is why we also talked about the fact that masculine is much more in that space I keep on seeing of the identification and recognition of of what it feels like to be vulnerable. But it's the vulnerability that allows for I keep on hearing, when we are energetically vulnerable, what is the possibility that we arrive to? When we're vulnerable and we allow ourselves vulnerability, it allows for expansion, right? Because when we're vulnerable, we open ourselves up to the possibilities that surround us, and we're able to work as that energetic connection point. For feminine, I see feminine much more in that space right now of working on carving paths. So even here, and I need to point this out, we've got masculine and feminine energy in very different fashions, right? What are they doing? They're working on the expansion of the self. But the expansion of the self, you'll understand, is the expansion of the self that is allowing one to be able to heal something. But it's the ability to heal something by means of understanding the self in the process, right? So this is beautiful, because this is, again, this is both the masculine and feminine going backwards in order to go forwards, because it's the identification point on the expectation or where the wound began that allows for that ability to be able to heal something most effectively. This brings us to the energy that's in separation right now. This is what we see, and I like to point this out. We've got the energy deep within divine union right now, and the energy in separation in the exact same modality. We've got the energy deep within divine union right now and the energy in separation in the same modality, which is often indicative of the fact that we're having a lot of alignment today. Continuing to get clarification between our Knight of Wands and our Six of Pentacles, there's that World card in its reversal. Now, why are we seeing the World card in its reversal here? Because this is more of that conversation as it relates to the ability to work into a space that feels energetically supportive. For a lot of the masculine energy doing this work right now, it's not easy, right? Like we talked a lot about this. And for a lot of the masculine, and I keep on seeing, for a lot of the masculine that is working on healing in this way, and this is why we have to talk about this. Like, this is why we have to be very conscientious about speaking in the space of understanding and identifying that the work between masculine and feminine is vital, but it's very different, right? Because for masculine, I just keep on seeing that this is the masculine that is working through potentially the frustration of being told to suppress something instead of getting stronger in it. What is the difference between suppressing something and getting stronger in it? You have to think about it. You have to think about emotional homework. Imagine a situation where there's all this emotional homework, and someone says, "How do I do this homework?" And someone says, "Forget about it. Don't work on it. Just push it back. Just push those feelings back." There you go. Now you're being a masculine, right? Like that doesn't allow the context by which one can get stronger, because you only get stronger when you do something hard. You only get stronger when you do something difficult. This is how we talk about vulnerability, right? Vulnerability, when we avoid something, we're energetically weak. When we avoid something, we're energetically weak, because it's the identification point that says, I don't want to deal with it. But when we work on vulnerability, it can sometimes feel like it's the hardest thing because we're not good at it. But the more we do it, the better we get at it. So this is why I almost hear a lot of the masculine energy saying to feminine, be patient with me, right? Like, it's the energy that says, be patient with me as they move towards feminine. Because this is the masculine saying, I'm learning tools I was never given. And in the space of learning these tools, I'm doing the opposite of what everyone ever told me I should have done in the first place. Right? This is a lot of I told you, this is a lot of the masculine energy coming into a space that is the articulation that embraces the emotion, that says that the emotions do not need to be sacrificed on the journey of coming to masculinity. This is the masculine that's learning to emotionally connect again. But that's why I see that this is almost like the masculine, like building upon or working through that frustration. Because it's almost the masculine that says, I'm working on something that I was never taught, and I'm having to teach myself in the process, right? So that's a lot of that energy that's like working through that, and like also going through a lot of the emotional turmoil as they experience that work. For feminine, clarification between our Six of Pentacles in combination with our Queen of Swords and its upright, there's that Temperance card in its reversal, right? And this is the feminine that's working through the context of the feminine that just is supposed to be in a modality where they tolerate, right? Like feminine often having to heal from those contexts or from those experiences that say, oh, well, if you're feminine, you should just be able to tolerate everything, right? Like you should just be able to tolerate everything. And this is the feminine that says the feminine expression should not be the summation of how much one can take. I just keep on hearing the feminine go, the feminine expression should not be an extolling, a celebration of how much one can take, right? Like the feminine, because basically, and this is why we see that what is happening right now for feminine and masculine, like this is the feminine that's working into that space that says, and also further, this is the feminine that says, I heal masculine through this, right? Because when the feminine takes on the work of masculine, then again, masculine doesn't learn how to get stronger within something. So we see even now that this is the embodiment of the architecture. And this is why I told you that these are all temperance lessons right now, because it's the understanding of working in the context of what one is trying to heal within the self that allows for that ability to come into healthy counterpart energy. And it doesn't require us to be perfect, right? It doesn't require us to always hit the right note. But the important thing is, and this is what's beautiful, when we know ourselves enough and we hit the wrong note, we're immediately able to go, oh, wait, yeah, that, like, yeah, okay. You know, you're able to come into the space of energetically correcting something. You're able to come into those spaces of being able to identify what it is that you're trying to work through differently. And so this is why I see that for a lot, like this is a lot of the energy right now in separation, moving into temperance, because this is the energy that says I work on understanding the map of myself. Because when I arrive to the counterpart with the map of the self, there is no better gift, because that is the energy that says I'm not perfect, but I'm working on it. And this is what I know so far. This is what I know so far. Now for masculine and feminine energy, right, that is coming into divine union, right? And like, and I gotta say, like, there's something really important right now for the energy coming into divine union. These are those magician partnerships that we talked about that are moving deeper into union right now. That ability of, again, this is why I see that there may be a lot of frustration that's being energetically released right now. Because what do we observe in the space or in the modality of being able to articulate? Like, what does it feel like to build into authentic connection? It sometimes can feel very frustrating, because in the process of building into an energetically authentic connection, what do we often do? We have to dispel that which is not accurate. We have to remove that which is not healthy. And so that's why I keep on seeing that for a lot of these relationships right now, that observation, that understanding, that recognition point as it relates to coming deeper into healing, this is a lot of that energy that is working through, like, the observation of the healthy counterpart that feels like the embodied manifestation, right? The embodied manifestation that shows us things, right? That helps us see things that we could not see before. And so that's why I keep on hearing that for a lot of this energy coming into divine union, that ability of observing that ability of seeing those adaptability points, there's either one of two different modalities that are forming right now as that energy moves deeper into connection. These are energies that are proceeding to either heal in circumstances or situations wherein they were working upon something so well, they were working on something within to such an extent that they were able to, like, something that they say about themselves is no longer true, right? The energy of the healthy relationship, the magician partnerships that are working to dispel the negative concept of the self, or these are relationships where one recognized that one had to imbibe something about the self that was not energetically true in order to maintain an unhealthy energetic partnership. Because that's the thing that we've learned, is the trauma teaches us things about ourselves that is not true in order to facilitate staying in something. Because why could you can't, if you can't work on something within the self in an unhealthy connection, there'd be like, it's better to have something within that you can embody to work upon than to observe the situation that which there isn't an energetic solution for. So that's why we see that for a lot of the relationships doing that work, that ability of healing is one that feels foundational because they're acting to each other as the energetically clear mirror, continuing to get clarification between our Seven of Pentacles in combination with our World card in its reversal. Emperor in its reversal. So we've got the Emperor in its reversal now. So the Emperor in its reversal talks a lot about the process by which we recognize and identify what it is that we're working on upon the self, within the self in the process. And the thing that we're seeing even now in relationality to the identification and the articulation of what it is that we're working to, I keep on hearing what it is that it feels like we're working to integrate. I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the masculine energy right now, that ability of, I keep on hearing the journey of being in touch with the feelings is what I keep on hearing, right? Like the journey of being in touch with the feelings, the observation that stoicism isn't about not feeling. Stoicism is feeling everything, right? It's the emotional depth. It is the emotional gravitas, but not being overwhelmed by the emotions, right? And this is very difficult. You know, when you are feeling, you have to understand, for a lot of the masculine energy, the ability to feel a lot of feelings and just wanting to disassociate from them is always energetically there, right? It's very easy. It's very easy. Is what I keep on seeing, right? There's a lot of encouragement. I keep on hearing there's a lot of encouragement for masculine constantly to energetically disassociate with their feelings. But when you disassociate from feelings, you don't become strong with them, right? When you disassociate from feelings, you're not getting better at navigating them. You're just getting better at not feeling. And that's often what can sometimes lead to breakdown moments, right? Because again, what happens to a feeling that isn't expressed? It goes into the unconscious. We talk a lot about this. We talk a lot about this when we're in Aquarius season, right? The emotions that you disassociate from, they don't go away. They go into the unconscious. So this is why I see that this is a lot of the masculine energy that is working on the expression of feelings that they would typically try to disassociate from, right? Because it's why it can feel so difficult, because it's very easy. You're like, the unconscious is like, put it back here. There's lots of room back here. But instead the masculine's like, no, we're gonna address this, right? We're gonna work through this, right? We're gonna be able to adapt and articulate and find those modalities by which we can communicate through it. So I keep on seeing that this is a lot of the masculine energy, particularly the masculine energy in separation, that is working on doing that tender work as it relates to communicating more from the space of the emotional framework. And that's often, I keep on seeing, it feels, it feels, it can feel very, it can feel very, like, I keep on hearing, like, it can feel very, it's like working through the static of the self to a certain extent. But that, thank you, but that same space, right, like that same space of doing so is how we get better at it, right? Like the masculines, like I feel like a lot of masculine energy right now is very much in that, like, the only way out is through kind of mentality, but it has to do with the ability to articulate upon their emotions, because I keep on hearing that's how we become vulnerable, right? How do we become vulnerable? We confront the place we feel weakest. We don't hide from it, and we get stronger as we do so. While for feminine, I'm going to move to the feminine right now. We've got the Temperance card in its reversal in combination with our High Priestess in its reversal. We've got here our Page of Swords in its reversal. Woo-hoo! Okay. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, right? This is a lot of the feminine that's going through that journey of basically articulating and staying to a certain extent. It's okay to have hard feelings. But I need to stress this out. When I say it's okay to have hard feelings, what we're seeing here is I'm not feeling like this is not feminine trying to get energetically bitter about things. This is feminine that's trying to embody the space of being empowered in the space of the self, which is the feminine that kind of works into that space that says the feminine does not want to feel like they're celebrated for being able to tolerate everything. Is what I keep on hearing. The feminine being like, I don't like I just keep on hearing the feminine saying in some way, shape, or form, I don't want to be celebrated for how much I can tolerate. It's the desire to be able to do something, right? It's the ability to, feel confident to be the self, not to just tolerate things, is what I keep on seeing. So this is the feminine and I see the feminine that says, when I'm comfortable in being myself, I can take on more, is what I keep on seeing, right? So that's the difference. It's the same journey. It's the same conversation that we have between weakness and vulnerability. And this is the feminine that's going through the difference that says, when the feminine is weak, right? When the feminine's weak, it's like the feminine that's celebrated for being able to tolerate a bunch of stuff instead of the feminine being in a space where they're energetically celebrated, because the feminine says, when I can be myself, I can take on more because I'm getting stronger in that, right? So it's a feminine that says, and I keep on seeing they look similar, but they're different, right? Because one feels empowering. It's the feminine that feels energetically empowered because they find the strength within them, versus the feminine energy that feels like the energy that works through the space of disappointment, that is the feminine that feels like, oh, you just need to take on, like, you just need to tolerate more. I keep on hearing it's not about tolerance, it's about taking on. Center card for today's spread between the World card and the Temperance, and this is a unification point between these two energies right now. We have here our Nine of Pentacles in its reversal. So for a lot of the energy right now, I'm just seeing with the Nine of Pentacles in its reversal, there's a lot of that work and there's a lot of these conversations I'm identifying and I'm recognizing. This is working through this is working through like the energetic distortions. This is working through the space of feeling some of those distortions, because what I keep on hearing, trauma creates distorted concepts of self. Trauma creates distorted concepts of self, and that is why we see, that is why we see that there's so much of that frustration that potentially gets expressed in those modalities, right? Because this is a lot of the energy of both masculine and feminine working to heal something in a big way. And for masculine, right, like, what is the distorted concept of self that masculine is working on healing from? Bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. That emotions are problematic to being in masculine energy, right? Like this is the masculine that says and that's the, like I just keep on seeing the masculine working through this, and it's the same thing. It's the difference between weakness and vulnerability, which says if you avoid something, you're not vulnerable. You're afraid of it, right? So this is potentially a lot of the masculine healing from modalities that made the masculine feel like they had to be afraid of their feelings, right? Because that's a masculine that says you can never outrun your feelings. You can't outrun your feelings. Your feelings are they're just always there. But when you face your feelings, right? When you're able to embrace your feelings, then you become stronger. And then that gives you, and what happens when you become stronger and you're able to embrace your feelings? You learn to move through them. You learn it so that way they don't feel like they come over you, and then you become reactive within them. It's the energy that is able to find the strength to work through something in a way that feels like it's energetically sustainable. So I just keep on seeing that this is a lot of the masculine that is looking like working into that space and getting better at it, right? It's like training wheel energy. And this is why the masculine is frustrated, because the masculine is like, I got training wheels on something I should have been doing from the start. You know what I mean? While for feminine energy, I see that feminine energy is also working in this concept, because this is a lot of the feminine energy that says that the identification, the celebration point should not be like, oh, look at the feminine. Look how much they can tolerate. What a great feminine. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it should be the energy of the feminine that feels energetically empowered, because it's the feminine that says, look what they can do in the modality of being themselves, right? Like, look who they become, right? And this is the feminine that says when I'm celebrated in the space of being myself, I can take on more. I become energetically stronger. So this is why we see that there's a lot of this energy today is those conversations in relationality to where one is getting stronger or what one is working on. And I like to see this, especially for energy and separation, clarification between our Emperor energy in combination with our Nine of Pentacles in its reversal. There's that Sun card in its reversal. So let's talk a little bit about the Sun card in its reversal. I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy of the Sun card in its reversal, this is a lot of that work as it relates to working on. Like, do you see the foundation of a lot of these new energetic connections that are starting to form? They're already talking about each other's maps. They're meeting in the space of identifying and recognizing, right? Like, this is, like I told you, this is map maker energy. These are temperance relationships. So these are the energies that are articulating upon, like, these are the energies that are very invested upon articulating on what they're working on, right? And a lot of that is like working through the context of identifying, right? Working almost like I keep on hearing hard part first, right? Like they're preparing each other. They're preparing each other for what it is that they find there, right? Like they're almost like I keep on seeing, like it's a lot of that energy that is very, I keep on hearing, like very much focused upon being able to know the self. And I keep on hearing I keep on hearing it's self, it's the and I want to describe this. It's obsessed with the self in the best way possible, because it's the desire to understand the self in order to give the context to another by which you can build that, because the understanding of the self is giving someone the blueprint by which you can build a healthy connection, right? So this is the energy that says I'm very focused on understanding the self, but not self-absorbed. You understand? It's not self-absorption, because self-absorbed is feeling like one is the only person that matters. But when one is invested in understanding the self, it is the understanding of the self that allows for the enlightening process of meeting another, because it's the ability to articulate upon the self that eases the journey. Because it's the gift that you give that says, I'm not coming to you to find myself. I know who I am. Is what I see. Right? So this is a lot of that energy that works upon that in that way. Continuing to get clarification between our Nine of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Page of Swords in its upright. we've got here, there's that King of Pentacles in its reversal. And so for a lot of the energy here, I just want to stress, this is, remember how I said that this is the year, you'll recall if you remember earlier this year as we entered 2025, I said that this is the year of like honoring your no, right? It's honoring the not, if you will. And I keep on seeing, and I think that this is really important, and especially I just need to stress this. I just need to stress something I'm seeing right now for some of the energy in separation. I feel like there's some energy right now in separation that is healing from situations or circumstances where another person was trying to utilize jargon instead of embodying, which is, what is jargon? Jargon is knowing all the words of something, like using the jargon to deflect the actual work is what I keep on hearing. It's like using the jargon but not embodying the work is what I hear. There's like a lot of that space. I just keep on hearing there's something about the energy and separation, like landing upon the word jargon. Because this is what happens. Like you can utilize like a lot of spirituality to articulate what you're energetically avoiding doing, right? Or you can be very invested in it, is what I keep on hearing. You can use it to avoid, or you can use it to invest. And so I see that even here, there's a lot of this energy that is articulating upon the fact that they do this work because they are invested in it. They're not utilizing the work itself as an escape hatch, is what I keep on hearing. There's something very powerful and dynamic about that, because that is the energy. I told you, you'll recall that I said that there's a lot of energy in separation right now that is healing from situations or circumstances wherein another wasn't embodying a manifestation. And what is an embodied manifestation? An embodied manifestation is one that we don't just look like a manifestation, but we actually work upon it. We are identifying what it is. We do that. We go through that work. We push through, right? And so I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the work, being able to do so, this is a lot of the energy that effectively articulates upon, like I keep on saying, it articulates upon the fact. I keep on hearing you can use the words of a spiritual path to avoid doing anything. Is what I keep on hearing. Or you can be invested upon that journey to be able to discover the self along the way. And so I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy in separation, that identification point, that recognition that articulates and says, even potentially articulating to one another, the frustration of, I keep on hearing someone say, they knew the words but lacked the meaning. One that knows the words but lacks the meaning, or someone who does not embody what one is working on. Like, remember, we saw that a lot of energy right now coming out of Gemini season is working through the articulation of the difference between fickleness and pragmatism. And what is fickleness? This makes a lot of sense given what we've been seeing in Gemini season. Fickleness is being too changeable, right? Being too changeable. Often I keep on hearing change is not a manifestation goal. Right? Change is not a manifestation goal, because when we change for a manifestation goal, it can often be indicative of an ability not to find the rigor to do something, right? But pragmatism is expansive. It is the ability of working in the array, right? Identifying and doing a lot of things to move towards a particular direction. So this is why I see that there's a lot of new relationships that are forming, articulating upon the difficulty in discerning the nuance, right? The articulation point in identifying and recognizing what it takes to embody something versus what allows the context by which another is, like, I keep on seeing the trauma that can occur with someone that is too fickle in that path work, right? Continuing to get clarification between our Sun card and the King of Pentacles for the energy moving deeper into divine union right now. There's that Eight of Cups in its reversal, So why are we seeing a lot of the Eight of Cups in its reversal right now? For a lot of the energy right now, the Eight of Cups in its reversal is talking towards and working through. I keep on seeing recognizing and identifying what I keep on seeing, recognizing and identifying and healing from the past. And what's beautiful about this for a lot of these magician partnerships that are moving into connection right now, this is a lot of the energy that is moving into connection. And the gift that they're having as they move into connection is the ability to see the past more clearly. We talk a lot about this, right? Often when we're in the middle of something that is difficult, often when we're in the middle of something that is traumatizing, it doesn't make sense, right? And it's only after we move away from something are we able to see something with clarity. And you'll recall that a lot of these relationships right now, they're providing the clear mirror to counterpart. That ability of seeing something with more clarity, the ability of working through something and being able to identify and recognize. And again, it's not that this energy is perfect. They're actually working, they're very invested in understanding their flaws, because when we understand our flaws, it gives us new tools to be able to apply to them. But this is what we see that is allowing for that relief point for a lot of these relationships, because this is the energy that is finding the healthy counterpart. And what are they seeing in relationality as they move deeper into connection? There was nothing wrong with them in the first place, right? There was nothing wrong with them in the first place, right? Like that is the healing that's coming through. Like that's the song that we hear these energies are coming into as they move into connection. While for a lot of the energy right now, deep within divine union, a lot of the energy I keep on seeing deep within divine union right now, it is the expansion point by which one is able to recognize and identify wherein everything is possible, is all I keep on hearing. It is the definition point by which point one is able to recognize and identify everything that is possible. And so something about that work, I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy, this is the adjustment of the manifestation goal. It is the expansion point. But what's beautiful in the harmony of that expansion point, it's the observation that, again, the healthy manifestation is not one that we reach for things. We're able to see more possibilities. And so this is why we see that for a lot of the energy doing that work, it feels like the arrival of a manifestation, because it's the arrival. I keep on hearing it's the energy that arrives to the fact that they felt like they were thinking too small, right? It is that is often what it feels like when we have an expansion point, right? Like what is the song that you hear when you come into an expansion point? I was thinking about it all wrong. You know what I mean? I was thinking about it all wrong. It allows for that greater context by which you can be more energetically adaptable. Bottom of the deck on today's reading, we've got here our Ace of Pentacles in its reversal. So we're going to talk about this right now. Listen, the moon is in Aries right now. Okay? The moon is in Aries. And we've got, here's the thing. There's already a lot of Aries. There's a lot of planets in Aries. Okay? There's a lot of planets in Aries. Or there's a lot of planets in Aries right now. Okay? And we've got Uranus that is about to move into Gemini. That can create a little bit of volatility. It can create it's a lot. It's working through frustration. Okay. I'm gonna tell you right now, if you're feeling it, it's real. Okay. It's a lot of, it can feel like a lot of, like, I want to say there's a little bit of this energy right now that can sometimes feel like it's a little bit of that, like, it can sometimes feel a little bit like the straw that breaks the like, it's like that last straw kind of energy. But I want to stress this, okay? When we navigate through frustration and we don't allow it to collapse, the possibility of a breakthrough is never closer to us. I know that sounds wild. The energy of a breakthrough and a breakdown are very, very similar. They are the same. The only difference, okay? The only difference is a breakdown is that energetic moment where we embody the energetic feeling. But when we move through it, right? Like the energy that says the difference between the energy says I can't take anymore versus there has to be a better way. Okay? I can't take anymore and there has to be a better way is always like this is always this close, okay? So I want you to take that into consideration. I want you to accommodate for that right now. And I'm not saying that there aren't situations and circumstances wherein you aren't working through frustration, but I want you to think about moving the frustration into a space that feels like it's energetically productive. I want you to work through the space of being able to do something that feels like it's energetically expansive. Because I keep on hearing, don't let it frustrate you, let it fortify you, right? Like don't let strong stuff like frustrate you, let it fortify you. Fortification, okay? Fortification, not frustration. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you so much for being here and receiving these messages. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my site. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my site. So I would encourage you to do it there. A couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, I want to thank everyone who attended our recent class on the Temperance card. Our next class will be held on Wednesday, July 16th. At 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern, we will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the Devil card. If you would like to become a part of that tarot class program, all you need to do is head on over to my Substack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my Substack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also, as a monthly subscriber, have access to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library Class Archive. Now, it's not necessary to catch up. I will be doing my best to give you an update on everything that we have studied prior to beginning the next class, but the material is there for you to receive if you're ready to receive it, and it's a great time to join because you have ample opportunity to catch up if you wanted to. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions you may have in relation to anything we have studied or are currently studying, and if you become a founding member, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, but you will also receive a complimentary one-on-one, but you'll also have full access to the entirety of the Tarot Church Library Archive. That is access to over 15 hours worth of material in an ever-expanding library. You will also have access to, if you choose to receive one, a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, where I will meet with you personally to assess where you are on your own personal journey of the tarot and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best impact towards your personal tarot goals moving forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them available to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining us in these classes. I also want to let you guys know that even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I also post my weekly, I also post my mystic meditation articles there, which give you, which will give you an update into the energy that we're experiencing. I just posted one about navigating the Sagittarian energy. I also want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my clients that are seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my students that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, again, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I am also very happy to now offer dream interpretation readings. You can purchase these per dream or as the series. If you purchase the series, I would encourage you to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal to utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again tomorrow.